First up is K, and yeah, this is looking good. Um, let's just look at the model itself first, and then we can focus on the UV maps. Got a little funny thing going on here. Maybe you can just delete that. Don't know what that was. Seems to be on both sides. Let's see if symmetry is working. I'm just holding down W. Go into the marking menu for that. Oh yeah, there's something a little strange about this. The way this is built. I guess that's the inside thing where it wraps around. That was poking through. Okay, well, I wonder if that was there before I deleted that thing. Let me just reopen the file. Nope. So maybe that's just part of that inside surface and we need to keep it, but it's more a question of just moving it in. Okay, so we won't delete that. Belt maybe could be a little more shaped. And yeah, it looks like you got a little kind of bumpy here around the lips. One tool I like to help with that kind of roughness is the Sculpt Surfaces tool. I don't think I can get it from here, can I? So from the Surfaces menu, Sculpt Geometry tool, I should say, not Sculpt Surfaces. So I'm just going to dock these settings over here and make sure I'm on Smooth, and then make sure under Stroke I'm on Reflection, and see it's doing both sides. If I hold down B and click and drag, it'll make that bigger, and I can just kind of clean up some of those bumpy areas. Whoops. Oh, that's a little strange how it was. The mirroring looked different, but yeah, as long as we stay more like that. So I think already that looks a lot better. The other thing is to kind of look at this from below, and I think you want more of kind of a flatter curve there. It's very kind of comes to a point there, so I might try to take this and, you know, with soft select make a much bigger selection, move that forward. And definitely the bottom lip should be behind the front lip. You know, this will take more time than just my kind of quick fix is doing, but you get the general idea that, you know, to work on the shape of that. Already I think it looks a little bit better. It's kind of misshapen a little bit, but yeah, sort of take your time with it. Anyway, yeah, just keep going with that. I've tried to get that lower jaw back a little bit. Hair looks okay. It looks a little funny in the middle. I'm wondering if that was intentional or if that happened on a when you mirrored it, but probably I guess that's intentional. That looks alright. There's some kind of not real happy with this right here. Sort of looks like it's missing some geometry in a way. Just isolated that. I feel like that area should be filled in. But maybe that was intentional? I don't know. Anyway. I guess if you're going to have that kind of gap there, what I would say then is that you need to have mirroring on. Still I do. Kind of pull these things inside the head more. Whoops. So that we don't see the little kind of gaps underneath. So it's like right up against the head. Neck. You haven't really properly terminated these edge loops, so you're getting a bunch of five-sided faces like those, and this and this. So if you want to properly terminate those edge loops, well, actually, I don't even know why you have so many edge loops on the neck, because it's not like continuing into a body or anything. So just in this case, you can just go in and you can just take these guys out. These aren't doing anything for you, I don't think. Just shift right mouse click, delete edge. Yeah. Simple. Okay. And I think you could kind of add more loops around the eyelids and flesh those out a bit more. They're looking a little bumpy here. I might touch those again with the smooth thing. Make it a bit smaller. Whoops. And then maybe, you know, extrude in and just, or add more loops to get more of an eyelid shape, because you don't have enough geometry here to open and close the eyelid if that's your intention. Also, non-spherical eyeballs are inherently problematic. There's tricks to it, but you know, if she looks down, that doesn't work, right? You know, left and right, you can kind of get away with, although it looks a little funny. So what I really would recommend is putting a spherical eyeball in here instead and shape it to that. Now, because of her kind of large eyes, it's going to have to be a pretty big one. Not that big, but so I know that looks a little bit weird right now. But then the idea would be to then go in and shape this a little bit more to the eyeball and use a spherical one rather than the oblong shape you had there. And that's just going to take kind of manually moving, you know, that whole border edge, which yeah, I mean, there's just moving points. I probably won't do it right now, but use a spherical eyeball to shape it to and not an oblong one. Okay, and a little issue here with the, I think probably another little holding edge on the heel here. As you can see that if we look at this smooth, you're losing the shape there, so maybe one at the top here. It's looking better, and then similarly probably here, and it's gonna let me do something here, not really. So you might want to put in some extra edges. What about there? So that looks a little better. Not real pleased about how this shape is going, but if this is going to bend here, you're going to need more. You've got a triangle there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. You're going to need more geometry there if it's going to bend there. I might just look at it from the side. Let's go left view. And just kind of laser slice through this whole thing. I mean, you've already got triangles, so that's not making more triangles, but it's not fixing the triangles you have. So there's more geometry, and maybe even another one, here. Just so it has the geometry it needs to bend. And then get these things more lined up to the feet, and maybe either narrow this or widen the ankle, but it looks like an awfully large hole for the size of that, so I might narrow the opening here so it fits the ankle better. Hand looks okay. Just make sure this is all lined up nicely. Probably need a little bit more geometry in the wrist here, like another loop here. Yeah, I would probably put at least one more loop at each joint and just shape that a little bit more. Give it a little bit of a sense of a knuckle there. It looks like you did that here, but so do that similar thing at the rest of the joints where it's going to bend. Otherwise, you probably don't have enough geometry. Same with the thumb. You need more. Anywhere this is going to bend, generally you need about 3 loops, and then you can shape it a little bit more. But overall, it's a good looking hand. I just think you need a little more detail where it bends. This is looking good. I just think, I don't know, that shape looks a little funny to me. Maybe you can work on that a little bit, but it's fine. Yeah, so overall it's looking really good. Let's get a closer look at our UV maps. Okay, hopefully I didn't mess anything up too much in my editing. That's the thing, is that if you make model changes after you do your UVs, you might have to lay out the UVs again. Just wondering what's going on here. What I might do is I might just reopen the file to look at it, without any of the changes I just made. Yeah, so that must have been from some change I made. Okay, yeah, nothing sort of jumped. Well, actually, no, this sleeve thing is. So there's a bunch of extra cuts in the sleeves for some reason. So that's something you'll want to fix. Yeah, look at all these extra cuts, like this one. This one really. Let me use this. I think we want to sew all of these. Did you? Wow, there's just so many slices down the arm. See, I think what you wanted to do is do it down the length of the arm. I know that looks crazy now, but let's just do this one again because you got all these extra cuts in the arm. I'm just going to do just a planer to sort of reset everything and then kind of put in some new cuts. Let's isolate this. And it's interesting, actually. There seems to be something going on with the geometry here. Let's turn off this color feedback thing. No? I guess it's alright. Also, I would tend to delete the history before I started doing UV mapping. Okay, so yeah, just kind of get a fresh start on this. I don't know what's going on, why you have this extra edge in here, these edges here. Let me just turn on symmetry, it's on. Those I would just take out, shift right mouse click, delete, oops. Delete edge, and delete edge. Okay. And delete history. Okay. This concerns me, but I think it might be just a soften edge issue. No? What is the deal with that? Oh, there's an extra... Yeah, there's some extra geometry there. So there's... if you notice when I select and move this, see how there's that whole extra edge right here? Let's see if mesh cleanup can't fix that. Mesh cleanup. Let's not do that. Let's do lamina, non-manifold, edges with zero length, faces with zero geometry. That looks like it cleaned that up. Okay. Yeah, that looks better. Alrighty. So now that we have a little bit of a cleaner surface to work with, slice off these arms at the top, cut, Shift X, good. Okay, and maybe something underneath the shoulder there, or here. What's this? Is this that same problem? Yeah, it looks like that. Oh, mesh cleanup didn't fix that. Try it again. Is that on both sides? Seems to be only on this side, so maybe I'll remirror this. Whoops, turn off symmetry, holding down W. I'm pretty sure that edge is fine, so let's just shift right mouse click, mirror, custom 0.001, mirror. Hopefully that's working now. Alright. I'll just maybe use that, but just deselect. Oh, do I not have mirror symmetry on? Okay. Just want that part under the arm. Although I don't like how that one swings forward. I want more like this one. Actually, that's kind of good because I'm probably going to go down that side of the dress. Actually, that's perfect because it cuts the dress right in half along the side. In the same place you would probably naturally find the seams on such a dress. So Shift X is the cut thing. So, and definitely probably need one here. So we probably just need, probably don't need another one on the arm. Probably just the neck there. I'm just deselecting those with Control Select. Okay, Shift X. Okay, so that should be sufficient for this. And you had way more cuts on yours, but let's go ahead and see what happens when we do layout. So, or unfold. So it's Control U, and your options, make sure you have Unfold 3D selected. Okay, and then Control L for layout. That's not a very good layout. But so I could go in there and adjust it manually, but let's take a look at checkers. Nothing kind of alarming looking. Let's take a look at the color feedback. Pretty darn white, if you ask me. So I could go in here and adjust these manually and get that looking pretty, but the point is that's a much better UV layout with way less cuts than you had before. And I think part of your problem was some of the geometry. So yeah, I tend to put everything in quadrant 1. Looks like you put everything in different quadrants, which might be trickier when you go over to Mudbox or other things. So I tend to put everything here in quadrant 1, and usually if I do Control L, whoops, see, it just automatically puts it all in quadrant 1. So I tend to put everything in quadrant 1. Fate. Oh, it's not selecting the loop. I wonder why. That loop it does. This loop it does. This loop it doesn't. Which is kind of too bad. I wonder if I turn off symmetry, if it'll do better. Nope. Because anyways, what I was, and that is awfully tight. Look at the distance between here and here. So, might use, jeez. Let's put on symmetry again. Yeah, what I was going to say. So that looks blue, but I'm not too concerned about that because we probably don't see those much. What I was thinking was if we could take this with soft select and scale it in a little bit, that would give us a little bit more. I think it's too big. No, a little bigger. Actually, let's turn off soft select for a second and turn off the color feedback. And Control F9 will convert to vertices. Shift greater than will grow the selection. So now I've got these 3 rows here. And then scale those in a bit. Because we have this extra room here we're not using. And yeah, maybe if I deselect all these, gosh, I wish it would select this. UV. Yeah, it doesn't want to select around. Well, let's try that again. grow the selection. Actually I want 2 UVs. But then I don't want this one anymore, so I can just control selecting these. Okay. So, as you can see, I'm getting a lot more room. And I'm not even that worried about this next one because I don't even think we see it, but just deselecting these. Using Control Select to deselect. That's weird, it's making the stuff around it look redder. It's just like a relative thing. And so I've used that, that space there to make it less red. The nose, unless you put another slice, it's not going to get any less red. Let's just kind of take a quick look at the checkers. So you are going to be a little stretched on the nose unless you put a cut on there. Oh yeah, this was the one before I smoothed it. Okay, and yeah, that looks fine. So I think, yeah, you've got some inconsistencies here. So where's that's not so great. Seems like it's maybe cut up in more pieces than it needs to be, but like if I grab, what shell is this? That's its own little shell. So those could probably be bigger. And you see how, I mean, you have to lay it out again because they're overlapping now, but you see how now that's more equal in the size. Yeah, that should be fine. This one's a little bit, that one could actually be smaller. Just to be about the same size as the other checkers. Looks like you had some issue with this one. And what's this one? Yeah, with these. I might try to sew that edge. So, and then take this shell and then just do a planer from on the y-axis, and then oh, it's in quadrant 1. Yeah, I would put everything in quadrant 1. I'm not sure why I don't. Get that about the same size as the other checkers, and probably same with this one. So I've got that planer set to Y now. And then just let's select all these faces and Control L, lay them out. Come on. Control L. There we go. Oh. Something's not right. I need to unfold them again first. And now lay them out. Okay. Yeah, I think there's something in here. This one's a bit big. I feel like that needs more cuts. I hope I didn't just do that. I don't think I did though. So I think that needs to be cut up a little bit more, and it's got some weird cuts in it, like these little wings and stuff. So I'm sort of just not that happy with how you cut this up in the first place. I might just kind of redo that one, start with planer and then make some new cuts and lay it out again. Yeah, but overall, good work on this. Next up is Yushin, and yeah, this is looking really good. As I said in the previous one, I tend to put everything in quadrant 1, which is this one, which is where if I say just Control L for layout, it puts them all there automatically, or you can, manually move these over here. It doesn't have to be, but I think you have to make some adjustments if you're going to use them in a box. Here we've got some funny little one of those. So somehow those got excluded. And you can see it looks real stretched out here. Not that we'll probably see that clearly, but I'm wondering. But definitely these should be bigger. Something like that. And then what's this one? Oh, just that little thing? I don't know that I'd do that as a separate shell, but maybe a little bigger. It's hard to tell. And then of course you'll have to fix the layout, find a place for this in the layout manually, or like here or something. What else? Seems fine. That looks good. Yeah. You mentioned there was some issue with the color feedback, although that looks fine. There's some red there. You could always take something like this, scale it up. Let's see, is that helping? No, not really. It's weird if I scale it smaller, it gets less red. That doesn't seem right. Thought it should be the opposite. Anyways, let's see what it looks like with checker view. I mean, I don't think that's going to be a problem. That looks fine. See the face. Yeah, probably. It looks really good to me. I don't really see any issue with any of this. I think you're done. Except that I tend to put everything in. Why is it picking both of these? Are these combined? No. Oh, do I have mirror symmetry? Like, is that why? It's very strange. Yeah, it's like that's because of me. Saying that is weird. Because normally, if these have been combined into one surface, I can use mesh separate, and it shouldn't have a problem separating it. But it's saying it's only one piece. But these are indeed one surface. Maybe I'll try the other way, which is select all these faces. Wow, it's like I can't. Oh, that's because of mirror. Let's turn that to symmetry. No, it's not. What is going on here? And the ankles too. What about the hands? Are they like that? That's weird. Why is it showing the checker on the other eyebrow when I select this one? So there's no right shoe. I went back and looked in the hypergraph and You can see that there's something weird going on here. It seems like there's an instance, um, and I can select that transform node that says L foot separately. You see there's no shape node over there. So I go modify, convert instance to object. It takes that object and takes the instance and makes an object. You see now it does have its own shape node, and I can select these separately. So I think that's how you can fix that. You can see they're no longer moving together. So I think that what happened is that you made an instance of the object rather than mirroring it. May have been in your mirror options. Okay, this is Natalie, and let's take a look. Doesn't look like you did any of the fixes that I demonstrated in module 4, so you might want to take a look back at that video for these arms, because I went over how to fix this connection on that video. So I'm not going to do it again because it's exactly the same, and also about connecting the wrists. I discussed that at length. So I would say return to those videos for that, and then same with the feet. You'll need to connect the feet up, so because right now they're intersecting and you want that to be kind of seamless. So this was all gone over in a video in module 4. So the face kind of is really lacking detail, and for the eyeball, and there's no eye sockets or anything, so it doesn't look like you really followed any of the tutorial for the face. So take a step back on that, so you can form the kind of eye shapes and eyelids and nose and stuff like that. So I would say the model, could go much further. And review module 4's video for those fixes, because this hasn't changed much since then. Yeah, and I think follow the tutorial for the face. I know obviously you can't follow it exactly, but at least you can get the eye sockets built properly, so you can have eyelids and like a nose shape and those things. And then for these, you should be using just a regular sphere and not these oblong shapes, because those are problematic when they try to rotate the eyes. I was demonstrating that earlier, but you can see right there, if the character tries to look left or right, you're going to have that problem. So use a spherical shaped eye, and then fit this shape comes from how the eyelid fits on that sphere, not from the sphere itself. So use sphere shaped eyeballs and then fit the eyelids around it. Yeah, and you'll want to connect this up to the neck properly. But yeah, the way you've built that is going to make that challenging. Just so the way you stretched out the chin. So I would say just redo the head. It doesn't look like you spent that much time on it anyways, and use the tutorials if you want to continue with this character. Review module 4's video for how to connect the arms and hands. And for the feet, they should be facing forward, by the way, not splayed out like that. And then you're going to want to connect those up. So, and then let's take a look at UV maps. I don't know if that's supposed to be done. Right now it looks like it's not unfolded or cut up. And besides, you should fix those problems with the model before you do that anyways. Yeah, these are not looking really laid out much at all in a way that's going to work. So yeah, I think you need to take a step back, properly connect the hands, feet, and arm, shoulders, and as demonstrated in module 4's video. Fix the head, and then do your UV unfolding and layout at that point. Okay, let's take a look at the model first. So the topology is okay on the head. It's a little rough in some spots here. I also think could be just kind of some odd shapes here. I feel like the nose could use some more shaping. It's very blocky. You've got some, oh, and this is actually intersecting itself, which isn't so great. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have that intersecting there. Also seems like maybe there's a few loops on the nose that aren't really doing anything. Like, where does that connect to? It's like that doesn't really connect to anything else, and it seems like then we've got I guess it does. I'm wondering if you need quite so many of these. Like, is this adding any real detail? You know, see if you can reduce some of that stuff if you're losing any essential detail, and then I would say this nose needs a little bit more shaping. It looks a bit odd the way it is. Anyway, it'll take some time, but right now it's looking pretty funny. I think maybe this could come out a little bit. It's in sort of a big nose. Yeah, I mean, this just deserves a lot of time, you know. I don't know that I can really fully... And I'm not exactly sure what your vision for this nose is, but as it was, it looked pretty distractingly strange. I feel like that's starting to look a little bit better. Maybe soft select and bring that out a bit. I don't know if you like that any better, but to me it's starting to have a little bit better of a shape now. I still think it needs some work. Sort of pretty exaggerated, yeah, and these weird eyebrows have been down, but I seem to remember that from the original design. Yeah, might want to give this opening some depth here, you know, just so it kind of wraps in a little bit. The arm, I would say you could get a little bit more of a shoulder shape here, kind of pull that up. Probably need another, whoops, edge loop here, you know, just so the wrist bend nicely. It's weird how you've done the hand, how that pinky is bending out there. I would straighten these out a bit. I mean, you can rig it like that. I would tend to have them straighter. And maybe a little bit more kind of, mass to the fingers. With the palm, really, I mean. Don't want that so big so that it gets the back of the hand. Starting to get, well, I probably went too far with that now. But, give the hand some shape there. And, yeah, sort of, this is looking a little boxy, I might just sculpt on this a little bit. I like the inner surfaces, the sculpt geometry tool. I'm just going to dock this, and I might start by using smooth, and I've got understroke, got reflection turned on, and start with that, just kind of rounding out these sides and kind of evening out some of the shapes. That actually is going a pretty long way to make this look a little nicer. And a little more kind of fitted to the skin, Probably could do some of that here, see what it does for this. Sort of evens out the topology a bit. Might have to pull some stuff back out for the hands and legs. The feet are leave some sort of questions. Are those shoes? Are they just feet? Do you just kind of want to ignore it? Either way, I think it needs a little bit more geometry, like, some sort of, hey, why doesn't move? What is this? Why is there this thing here? I don't like that. Just wondering why you have something that terminates there, and it's this very narrow thing here. Just going to try deleting that edge and then try putting it back in. Oh, it still terminates right here. I wonder why. I'm just going to undo that. Don't know. Something about that face. Let's try mesh cleanup on this. Mesh cleanup. Yeah, lamina, non-manifold, edges 0 length, faces 0 geometry. Let's see if it's still doing that. Sure is. Because normally that should go through here. Let me also delete history, Alt-Shift-D. I don't know why. Normally there'd be some obvious issue where there'd be like an extra edge there or something that would show us why it's not continuing through that particular face, but in this case it's not. So I'm just gonna anyway, so now I have that, that extra detail. Maybe you wanted to shape this a little bit better, but without the strange. Ooh, that's not good. I'm surprised my mesh cleanup thing didn't catch that. Yeah, clearly there's some funniness going on here with these. Look at this. Why didn't mesh cleanup take care of that? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Mesh cleanup. Nothing. No. No help. Yeah, look at this. Shift right mouse click, delete vertex. Ooh, not so good. Well, boy, it sure doesn't want to delete that vertex. Maybe we'll delete this edge. Don't like that. Let's try to fill hole. Shift right mouse click, fill hole, and then put the edges back in. Control Shift X. Was it like that? And then this is a many-sided face here. Anyway, that's a little better. Let's take a look at our, I'm just going to get rid of that, our UV maps. You know what, I'll reopen the file and just see what it looked like. Before I started messing with the surface. Alright, well, it looks like you have laid it out. I think the face didn't get enough area. Yeah, that's awfully small. You want extra room for the face, so it makes those much bigger. So it's going to have smaller checkers as a result. And then lay that out again. Because you just want more, that's where you're going to paint a lot of detail. But the checkers look pretty even. So I just think there's like a lot of, what's all these little, why there's so many little tiny pieces. There shouldn't be so many little pieces. So that's the only thing that concerns me, is that you've got some, well, I guess those are just fingers, but which is okay, but then there'll be like stuff like that, like just that one little face really. So I think you might need to go through and sew some stuff up, and then, because otherwise there's just a lot of little tiny pieces that don't seem like, you know, look at all these, what are all these little things? Just little parts of the eyelid, you know, that are all separated. That's no good. So you should sew those up and then unfold again. That's fine. Yeah. Nothing's kind of catching my eye that's standing out with these. This probably has more pieces than it needs, but because of the natural kind of leaf sort of texture, if those lines are the edges of each sort of leaf thing you're going to paint, then that's fine, because you have that natural sort of border. Although I'm wondering what those are. Yeah, again, there's probably more cuts than there needs to be in this. I would think those could be kind of a few. Some of these edges could be sewn together, so you have a few less pieces. Yeah. So overall, this is workable. I think big things are that nose looks weird. Some of the face could be adjusted. Some of the cleanup on the legs of that weird geometry. And then some additional detail in the hands.